I didn't take the job because I was brave. I took it because I was desperate. The message came from an unknown number. Shift work, 14 days, $2,500 in cash. Food, housing, and communication included. 2 people needed. Urgent. $2,500 cash for 2 weeks? In winter? That kind of money doesn't exist for normal people. So I called. A man answered immediately, like he was already waiting. His voice was calm. Too calm. Name? He asked. I told him. Age? I answered. Any medical issues? No. Can you follow rules? I laughed. Of course. The man didn't laugh back. Good. The contract will be ready. You leave tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Bring warm clothes. And your passport. Then he paused and added something strange. And don't argue with the rules. Not even once. At dawn, a rusty truck picked me up at the edge of the city. 2 other men were already inside. One was silent and skinny eyes like a wolf. The other, older, with a thick beard, kept chewing sunflower seeds. I sat beside them and tried to start conversation. First time on a shift like this? I asked. The bearded guy slowly looked at me. First time in that place? He corrected. I frowned. What place? He didn't answer. The silent one finally spoke, quietly. Don't talk too much. Save your voice. That was the moment I felt it. This wasn't a normal job. After 9 hours, the road disappeared. Only snow, trees, and a narrow track between them. Then we saw it. A tiny base, 1 wooden cabin, a small generator building, and a tall fence made of old boards. No lights, no smoke, no sound. The driver stopped and pointed. That's it. You live there. The bearded man jumped out like he wanted to leave quickly. The skinny guy followed. I stepped out last, and instantly my ears started ringing. The taiga was too silent. No birds, no wind in the branches, just pressure, like the forest was listening. Inside the cabin, there was a table, a lamp, and a folder with papers. A small note on top. Read first, sign second. Rules are not recommendations. The bearded man pushed the folder toward me. Go on. Read. I opened it. Contract was normal. Until the last page. Rules. 1. No lights after 1 o'clock. 2. Never open the door after 1 o'clock. 3. If you hear knocking, ignore it. 4. If knocking becomes scratching, do not look through the window. 5. If you hear someone calling your name outside, do not answer. 6. If the radio turns on by itself, switch it off without listening. 7. If you see footprints around the cabin in the morning, do not follow them. 8. If the hallway mirror becomes foggy, cover it. 9. Do not whistle in the forest. 10. Never sleep alone. I read it twice. Then I laughed. Is this some kind of joke? The bearded man leaned close. No, the skinny guy added. If you break a rule, you won't die instantly. I froze. What do you mean? He stared at me like I was a kid. It learns you first. We ate in silence. The bearded man's name was Victor. The skinny guy's name was Azimuth. They didn't explain what we were guarding. The contract said, object security. That's it. Around 11 p.m., the cabin started to feel colder. The fire was burning, but the air felt wrong, like the heat couldn't stay. At 12:40, Victor stood up. He looked at his watch. 20 minutes. To what? I asked. He pointed at the lamp. 1 a.m. Azamet walked to the window and pulled thick curtains. No lights after 1, he muttered. I rolled my eyes, but I felt sweat under my shirt. At 1 o'clock exactly. Victor turned off the lamp. The cabin fell into darkness. Only the fire gave weak orange light, and then 3 knocks. Not loud, polite, like a neighbor. I instantly looked at Victor. His face became stone. Azamet whispered, "Don't move." The knocking came again. Then silence. I couldn't breathe. I wanted to believe it was the wind, but the knocks were human. Then a voice came from outside, soft, familiar. It sounded like my mother. "Open the door, please." My blood turned to ice. Victor grabbed my wrist, hard. His eyes said everything. "Don't." I swallowed. The voice changed. Now it sounded like a child, crying, "Please, I'm cold." I felt my brain breaking. Then Azamet did something terrifying. He covered his ears. Not because of sound, because he didn't want to recognize the voice. The knocking returned. But now it wasn't knocking, like nails, like claws dragging, and then the front window started to fog from the outside, as if something warm was breathing on it. Azamet whispered, "Cover the mirror." Now, I didn't understand. What mirror? He pointed to the hallway mirror. It was turning foggy too, from the inside, like someone was standing right in front of it, breathing. Victor threw a jacket over it quickly, and the fog stopped. But outside, the scratching continued. Then a final sound, a whisper directly behind the door, right near the keyhole. "I know you're there." When morning came, we didn't speak. We just stared at each other, pale and exhausted. Victor turned on the lamp at 7 a.m. Sunlight came through the curtains. It felt safe again, but only for a second. Azamet opened the door and froze outside. There were footprints all around the cabin, dozens, barefoot, in snow. But the strange part? They didn't come from the forest. They started right in the middle of the yard, like something appeared there and walked in circles all night, waiting. Victor slowly closed the door. "Rule number 7, he said. "Don't follow them." I swallowed. "So what is it?" I asked. "What are we guarding from?" Victor looked at me. Then very quietly, "We're guarding ourselves." That evening we tried to act normal, but time moved like a nightmare. At 12:55, Victor turned off the lights again. At 1 o'clock, silence. No knock. I almost smiled. But then, the old radio on the shelf turned on by itself. Static, then a clear voice. Not human, like a recording played backward. Victor jumped and switched it off instantly. His hands were shaking. Azamet looked at me. "Rule 6, he whispered. "You listen. It remembers." I couldn't take it anymore. "What does it want?" Victor looked at the fire. "It wants you to break rules yourself." Day 4, I was tired. My mind was weak. That night the knocking started again. But this time, the voice outside sounded like Victor. "Brother, open. It's me." I forgot the key. Victor's eyes widened. He was sitting right next to me. So who was speaking outside? Azamet stared at the door like he was seeing death. The voice spoke again. "Open the door." "Don't be stupid." I felt rage. It sounded exactly like Victor. And my brain whispered, maybe Victor is lying. Maybe he went out. Maybe the thing is inside. I stood up. Victor grabbed me. "Sit." But the voice outside said something personal. Something only Victor would know about me. My secret, my past, and my fear became anger. I pushed Victor away and walked to the door. Azamet hissed, "No." My hand touched the handle. And then, no wind, no fire crackle, nothing. Even the world stopped. And behind the door, something whispered my name correctly. Perfect pronunciation, like it had practiced. "Open." I didn't. Not yet. I stepped back, and Victor slapped me so hard my ear rang. "You want to die?" He was shaking. Azamet whispered, "It almost got you." That was its test. Then the knocking stopped, and a new sound came from the roof. Something was walking. On the roof, slowly, step by step, like it was counting. Then it stopped right above us, and we heard one last whisper coming from the ceiling. Tomorrow. On day 7, the truck returned early. No warning. The driver didn't step out. He just opened the window and shouted, "Get in!" We didn't ask questions. We ran. As the truck started moving, I looked back, and I swear, I saw someone standing at the fence. A shape. Too tall. Too still. Watching us leave. Azamit didn't look back. He covered his eyes with his sleeve like a child. Victor finally spoke. "You know why it pays so much?" I swallowed. "Why?" Victor answered. "Because people don't come back to complain.